Hello and welcome to today's press conference with Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson and Lithuanian Prime Minister Gintautas Paluckas. Following the press conference, the webcast will be available on the Swedish government website government.se.
Great. Good afternoon and most welcome. It's my privilege to host the Lithuanian Prime Minister today. Most welcome to Stockholm, the pretty newly elected Lithuanian Prime Minister Paluckas today. We've had a productive lunch meeting. We discussed defense cooperation, of course, transatlantic security, Russia's war against Ukraine, and European competitiveness. All of these topics were covered. As I've had reason to stress many times the last year, the Nordic-Baltic cooperation is more important than ever, also more close than ever before. Together we are committed to building a region defined by innovation, resilience and security, and that's also a good reason for having all these intensive meetings. Within the European Union, we work closely together to defend democracy, to boost competitiveness, to promote the digital and green transition, and to strengthen the rule of law within the Union. As NATO allies, we send a simple but powerful message right now. Europe stands united. We are both leading the way for increased defense investments and an ambitious GDP target at the upcoming Hague summit. Boosting our defense today is an investment in our freedom tomorrow. Sweden's accession to NATO just a little more than 1 year ago strengthened not only our security but the security of the alliance in a broader sense, benefiting not least, we believe, our Nordic and Baltic neighbors. In today's meeting we discussed effort to strengthen security and defense cooperation even further. Our Nordic-Baltic defense industries can provide impressive capabilities in terms of high-quality defense equipment. At the same time, the attitude towards defense industry is actually sobering up right now, and so for good reasons. From being viewed as something not sustainable enough to meet different investment criteria, these high-tech defense providers are increasingly valued for what they actually can do. That is defending democracy. Our focus right now is on a potential coordinated acquisition of the CV-90 infantry fighting vehicles with Sweden, Lithuania, Finland and Norway together. With a possible coordinated procurement, we will strengthen our shared military capabilities in the Baltic Sea region. It would also deepen Sweden's and Lithuania's defense relationship bilaterally, and that would be a very, very good consequence. A coordinated acquisition will speed up deliveries, it will reduce costs and benefit our defense industrial ties. With CV-90 in almost all Nordic and Baltic states, we can also improve our interoperability and our security of supply. A statement of intent on CV-90 cooperation is therefore currently being drafted, and Sweden is really looking forward to taking this concrete step forward. Thank you so much for that. Finally, history reminds us unity is obviously our greatest strength. As we stood with you in your EU accession, you stood with us in our NATO accession. Today, we carry the spirit of cooperation forward in NATO, in the European Union, and in the Nordic-Baltic partnership. We very much appreciate all these three formats. Thanks so much for being here, Mr. Prime Minister, and over to you.
Thank you. I sincerely thank the Prime Minister of Sweden, dear Ulf, for the warm welcome and constructive discussions. Lithuania and Sweden enjoy excellent bilateral relations based on trust, solidarity, and a shared vision for a secure, resilient and democratic Europe. Our common assessment of today's geopolitical challenges and our very similar approach to what we need to do and how we need to do this makes us very close partners and like-minded countries in both NATO and EU. Lithuania is keen to continue deepening our bilateral and regional collaboration, especially in the areas of regional security and defense. We both agree that our cooperation is vital in the face of growing geopolitical challenges. I shared with the Prime Minister Lithuania's ambition to strengthen our economic ties and to encourage more Swedish investment in Lithuania. I would like to thank the Swedish government for its consistent attention to the Nordic-Baltic NB8 format. At a time when the geopolitical situation poses increasingly challenging issues, it is of utmost importance to remain united and further strengthen regional cooperation. We very much appreciate Sweden's contribution to strengthening regional security, the deployment of a battalion in Latvia, and the decision to send Gripens to Poland. We are interested in strengthening cooperation in the field of defense and develop joint projects and expand production capacities to meet the needs of our national and regional armed forces. I believe we both agree that support for Ukraine and efforts to strengthen its negotiating position must be increased. Capitulation is not an option. It would only lead to further aggression. Ukraine needs solid and long-term security guarantees, NATO and EU membership, and continued strengthening of its military capabilities. Our continued efforts to encourage others to increase support for Ukraine are necessary. We must uphold and expand sanctions for Russia and its accomplice Belarus, reinforce Russia's international isolation and demand accountability, including the confiscation of Russia's frozen assets. I believe we also agreed that the security of the Baltic region is inseparable from maintaining a strong transatlantic bond. During our meeting, we noted that there is no stronger deterrent to Russia than the presence of US forces in Europe. We should seek joint, probably NB8 initiatives that would further enhance transatlantic cooperation. We also exchange views on the most important items of the EU agenda, such as enhancing EU defense industry, preparing for the future MFF, and finding the best solutions for strong and competitive Europe. It is a challenging time for the EU, but working together, we can overcome them and make the EU stronger. Once again, I would like to sincerely thank you, Prime Minister, for today's meeting. We look forward to continuing our close cooperation in all areas and to standing side by side in addressing today's challenges and shaping tomorrow's opportunities. Tack så mycket.
Tack så mycket and welcome to the Club of Prime Ministers. Thank you so much. Please.
Thank you. With that, we'll go over to questions. We'll do Niklas Svan from news agency TT.
Tack så mycket. I would like to start by asking about this CV90 package. How much would this package cost? And considering the big increase in defense spending throughout Europe, and for example that the Czech Republic ordered 246 CV90s last year, how fast could the first CV90s be delivered, since time is of the essence here?
Yeah.
And my second question is to Mr. Paluckas, considering how many years would you say is left until Russia could attack one of the Baltic states?
Well, if I just start, well, obviously it's too early to tell in the sense that we haven't made all the decisions yet. But the faster we make the decisions, the faster they could be delivered as well to national armed forces. We are at least discussing several hundreds of vehicles. And they are quite costly. On the other hand, we are expanding our defense, military defense budgets. Lithuania is definitely doing that as well. So I think these are the kind of investments that will actually will find room in a bigger defense economy, basically. Exactly how it will develop, it's too early to tell, but I think there is a very, very good reason for this collaboration. We have too many platforms around Europe. We have too few countries collaborating in terms of procurement and standardization and things like that. So this is a good example that could be a showcase for other procurements as well.
Right. Unfortunately, I do not have the crystal ball to tell the future, but if we do our homeworks right, and if we do invest in our defense military capabilities properly, as we, I believe, do, then the likelihood of Russia doing anything stupid is decreasing significantly. So I believe that regional defense plans of NATO, adding the NB8 format and collaboration and cooperation in defense matters will ensure that there will be no direct encounter between NATO and Russia.
Another question?
Yeah. Since you also discussed the transatlantic link, and you called it strong here, but would you say that Europe can trust the US right now?
It's a very complicated question because each morning you have to check twice your social network profiles, what's going on in the United States. But we have agreements. We have the history of bilateral and multilateral relationship. And even if sometimes our belief shatters, we still have very strong ties and relationship. Sure, it needs to be tested, it needs to be taken care of, we need to put our diplomatic and political effort, but I believe that we will go through these turbulent times and we'll manage to have United States on our side supporting our region. But as I said, we'll do our homework on ourselves as well.
Just to state the obvious, the fact that Lithuania is already above 4%, Sweden has announced our decision-making process to reach some 3.5%. I think that kind of indicates the fact that we do not take the US for granted. Instead, we try to be more self-reliant in terms of defense.
Thank you. And with that,
Thank you
conclude
so
this press conference.
Thank you so much. Thank you.